Hi, and welcome back to the sixth component, where the sixth component is you.
Always you.
I'm Kaitlin.
And I'm Laura, and today we get the privilege to talk to you a little bit about delivering a great delivery driver.
Love it. That was a great pun. Play
Thank
on
you.
words, yeah.
So, there's so many different ways we can go about this, but we have some really, just some thoughtful, really direct, clear ways that we have experienced not only some hiccups because maybe we didn't do these things, but then also some successes because we have. And so we wanted to share a few of those tips today. Do you want to talk about one of the things that you actually shared first to me in my role, a little bit about what you do with your delivery driver?
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, we just want to make it clear, we know not all school nutrition programs have delivery drivers, but I feel like the majority of them do. So the district I work in right now, our current delivery driver is both a custodian and a driver for our food service program. So he spends about half of his time transporting, just cases here and there. We cook in each kitchen. We don't have any centralized kitchen, so we don't have the need to deliver food, hot food or cold food each day. Typically he just brings, a case of something here and there. But he does do, we do soups sometimes that we make at one kitchen, and he'll bring that to another kitchen. I have worked in another district where we did have centralized kitchens, and our driver there was a full-time food service worker. So he would deliver the food. He would go to the central kitchen, pick up the food, and deliver it to each location. He did things like testing the temperatures and just making sure that the food was safe for the kids. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I like that you talked a little bit about the structure of the driver. I think that it does make a difference in the amount of schools you have, whether you're central or you are just individual per school making the food there. It's dependent on what you need. In the largest school district that I first worked with, we had 4 full-time delivery drivers, and that is all they did. They worked for food service. They were not a custodial person. They received all the benefits, all the insurance package, all the bells and whistles of a full-time employee, and that worked out really, really nice because we had so many schools.
Right.
The school district that I currently work for as the director has many less schools, and so our delivery driver is around 5.5 to 6 hours a day.
Okay.
But that individual is solely school nutrition. So it is not custodians, it is not wrapped up in any other job.
Okay.
It is just within our team. And so then we get the opportunity to really not have to share. Not that it's bad,
No.
because there's a benefit for that employee to share jobs. But this individual works solely through and with us. But interestingly enough, this person's wage is custodial based.
Okay.
So the wage is more than a lot of our staff.
Yeah. It's a difficult job though.
Very much so.
One of the things we talked about was just getting in the truck or the van or whatever your delivery driver is driving and doing the route with them. It's a physical job.
So tip number 1 is really to do the ride along, and that's something that you and your team have always been good about that. I know you're up and in the truck and doing those things. And, there's so many different factors of which their job is difficult. It's snow. We in our area have a lot of extra precipitation that comes down in the form of white, and so
slippery.
And so it takes a lot of time to clean off the truck, the mirrors, the wheel wells, all of those things to make sure that the truck is in appropriate working order. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's really heavy. The things that they're carrying, soup. Think about when you're delivering 200 servings of a soup. That's pretty heavy.
That's heavy. Yeah, it is. It's very heavy.
So,
we don't have a lift gate. We have in the district I worked in last, the one that was the full-time delivery driver for food service. He had an automatic lift gate, which was great for him. He could hop on, press the button. The only time we had an issue with it was when we first got it. It did not have a manual option, so the lift gate got stuck up, which made for a very interesting day of delivering food. But we worked through that. But the delivery driver I have now has a van with no lift gate. He just slides the door open and has to lift everything into the van. So yeah, those soup containers are heavy.
very heavy. So it's snow, precipitation of any sort. It's the heaviness of the product they're dealing with. And then we sometimes forget about the last, which is traffic.
Yes.
So we have a school that we contract that is across the river and through the woods, literally. And sometimes the bridge is up. So that can be an issue. And then we also have trains in this area as well. And so it's just being really thoughtful and kind when you're looking at that ride along to be able to see what those particular areas that there could be some buffer room or some issues or challenges for that delivery driver. And just, you wouldn't know if you didn't ride along, right?
Exactly, Exactly. So it's easy for us to sit in our office or to sit in, work in the kitchens and think, why is it taking him so long? Or her, whoever your driver is. But yeah, so we really kind of have like a window, especially when it's wintertime and snowing. Our driver is also the custodian for our district office. So he is in charge of shoveling, the sidewalk and the entranceway and making sure that there's salt down and it's safe for people to get into our building and out of our building. So he has a window of time. So we'll know, he's going to be at the high school sometime between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. He might not get there at 9:30. He might get there at 9:50, but we know typically where he is and where he has to be by a certain time so that he can get all of his food delivered and all of his tasks completed in his workday.
And you wouldn't know that if you weren't walking a mile in his shoes.
Correct.
So that's really what we're thinking through this and asking of you is really just to do that ride along, walk in their shoes, and just love them and talk to them and honor them in the really hard work that they do. So that's number one. Number two, then, from that ride along, you can actually develop a schedule. So, Kaitlin, talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Yep, so we have to prioritize needs throughout the day. So what's the most important thing we need done by a specific time? We all know when our start times for our lunches are in our schools, and we know when food needs to be in a specific place. So when we build our schedule, we kind of build it backwards from that. And then we build it out from, after lunch to deliver anything else he might have to do outside of the lunch period.
And similar to your schedule, we're very similar actually in that the morning time is the crunch time. So we do have central kitchens that then satellite food out to other locations. And so those locations have specific timetables of which the driver needs to get there versus the afternoon is a little bit easy, not easier, but maybe a little bit more relaxed in the number of priorities and times of which they need to be in a certain place. So write out a schedule. And I think having that schedule not only is good for that particular driver, but if you ever need a substitute, to step into that role, they'll at least have a litany of kind of like a list of go here first, go here second. And they may not know where the kitchens are in the building.
Right.
And they may not know the staff. And so the best part is you can not only have a ride along with them, but actually have a substitute driver ride along before that driver, the main driver, is out. And we do that quite a bit with our facilities teams. We also have some of our food service staff that actually step into the driver role when that driver is gone. And so we've made sure that there's not only that ride along for us, so we know, but then also we take that schedule and do the ride along with the sub.
Yeah, so you brought up a really good point, I think. You said something about the driver not necessarily knowing all of the staff members in the kitchen. I think it's important to remember that the driver is kind of on an island. He or she doesn't necessarily belong in any specific place because they're going everywhere throughout the day. So really take time to make sure that your kitchen staff and your driver have a good relationship so that they can communicate and he or she can feel welcome going into those kitchens.
And you brought up a good point, which is communication. So we utilize cell phones. So when our driver is out at schools, they're actually texting. So our kitchen staff are texting our drivers saying, we need this now. Or when you're done with that running to the contract site, could you come back and pick up the 6 cases of apples for us and deliver it XYZ? So we communicate via text messages because it doesn't interrupt the driving.
Sure.
And so it works out really, really well, and it's a quick checkbox from the driver to that staff member, so they know that the driver's coming back momentarily. Now, you do something different.
We do, yeah. So we have radios. All of our custodial staff, all of our principals. I think there's a couple other people who have radios in our district. I can access the radio with my desk phone if I need to, but our driver does not use his phone, his personal phone at all. He doesn't want to be distracted while he's driving, which I think is fantastic. I know yours checks after he gets
Correct.
to the location, which is great too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
we need to be able to communicate with them.
absolutely,
for sure.
and it has to be fast. In many cases, it has to be pretty fast. So just communicate with the staff in the kitchens what the most effective way to communicate to your driver is, and that really, really helps for them to be successful, for the kitchens to feel supported, and for ultimately the food to get to the kids at the time that it needs to be there.
Right.
Because we've all come in on a Monday morning after a little bit of a break, and the bun gentleman or lady doesn't show up with the bun
yeah.
or the milk doesn't show up. So there's always a little bit of last minute sometimes where that delivery driver has a lot of moments of pickles, right, where they may be in. And that's really, really gets us to the next tip, which is making sure the driver understands the priorities.
Right.
So does the driver realize that the milk is a priority because the milk needs to be there on Monday morning before 7:30 for breakfast? So really making sure that a part of that schedule is kind of a list on the bottom of that schedule or at the top, wherever you want it, of what has to be there at a certain time.
Right.
Important, needed, immediate, and number 2 and number 3. And just so that they understand that a box of oranges for lunch is not as important as the milk for breakfast.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
helpful, I think. So we talked about writing along, creating a schedule, making sure that that staff member knows what the priorities, or the driver knows what the priorities are, and then also being comfortable with that driver, being comfortable with the staff in
Correct.
the kitchens, in addition to effective communication. So last but not least, Kaitlin, I love this one.
Yeah. Know what they like. They're such an important part of your program. I think sometimes it's easy, again, because they're not part of a specific kitchen, it's easy to overlook the amount of time and effort they put into your program. So know what they like. Surprise them with a snack. Make sure they have something to drink when they come into the kitchen. Tell your staff to take care of them because they're also taking care of the staff as well.
Exactly. So if it's hot tea or cocoa or a bag of Sun Chips, whatever it happens to be, it's really, really important, like Kaitlin said, to just show that love. We recently said to our delivery driver, we gave them the P card and we said, go to the local hardware store and pick out 2 or 3 pairs of really, really heavy duty gloves.
Oh, yeah.
And that driver was like, are you serious? And it's the little things, their hands. So just something really simple as that, when you think about if it's their birthday or if it's around a holiday, or just because, let them go and pick out what is comfortable to their hands and really just support them in a way that's meaningful every single delivery drop to them.
Absolutely, yep.
So your challenge is to really find out this week what they love.
Yeah, what do they love? Love on them. Make sure they're getting the appreciation and the respect that they deserve, because that job is difficult. If you haven't done it with them, please take the time out of your schedule to go right along with them. And just really let them know how much you appreciate everything they do for you.
Yeah, I appreciate this conversation
me too.
very much. And I think in our matured professional locations that we've been at and the years of being able to be in school nutrition, I think we've had just a level of understanding, respect, and certainly appreciation. And so we hope that if you're on the newer side in school nutrition, that you take this conversation seriously, and that you learn a little bit from it and use the challenge, as Kaitlin said this week. And we really, really wish you the best. To deliver a great driver is really, really important. So good luck. Cheers to all of you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.